The title of this is The Horrors of Agony. Pfeffernusse-flavored aspirin was found to be hideously dangerous, and babies the size of strawberries were being born to women who were known paupers, and these babies had enormous heads, the size of spoiling watermelons, and they whispered obscene remarks in sibilant Levantine waterfront pidgin, and they had lidless eyes and leering flaccid mouths, and they were born with pierced ears, and some were even born with garish metallic paper carnival hats. Their mothers felt repugnance at the lewd comments they uttered at breastfeeding time, and their limbs were unsightly thin and curling tendrils like withered asparagus bottoms, which were covered with the fine prickly hair, and they coiled and uncoiled continuously like tendrils in the sea, under the sea, you know.
Like marine tendrils.
Just always, you know, that hideous coiling, slow peristalsis movement. And when these tendrils were fragile, and when they were pinched off, they grew right back, clutching insulting greeting cards. U.S. government mercy stations were set up to give the mothers free classes in stringing donut necklaces and pasting sequins on prune pit jewelry. And the creatures required maple syrup and Clorox enemas every half hour. Some mothers got prune pits stuck in the tubing, and their babies died amid horrid screams and rectal explosions of white-hot enema mixture. Many mothers dressed their babies elaborately in lace and spangles to overcompensate for the deformities. Some of the little creatures had 10-story high feathered headdresses. Sometimes these headdresses got snarled in high voltage telephone wires, and the mothers would
Why don't you read it?
and the mothers would look down into the toddlers to see their babies incinerated like so many blackened and dehydrated ostrich droppings. Often nice old ladies would peer into the baby carriages to tweak their cheeks, and would instead vomit into the carriages, adding another knife into a mother's heart as she pushed the brimming carriage all the way across town in a raging hailstorm. I'm sorry.
What a treat.
How could a mother hold down her
It's very good, but why do you have to like go through all those things as you read it?
Honestly, I can't help it. I'm really
Oh, yes, you can.
it breaks me up. I'm sorry.
No.
If you read it to, I'm sorry, if you read it to someone, you
No,
understand?
okay,
You
Oh, yeah.
spare him all of
Sure,
that.
it's making
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
You
really.
just read it straight, and
I'm-
you let that do it.
Yeah, it is funny though.
It is.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
And they would and she would have to push the brimming mess all the way across town in a raging hailstorm. How could a mother hold down her job as a nightclub chanteuse and take care of the baby too? In desperation, she took it around to commercial photographers to pose for telephoto close-up of flaccid anal openings. One Norwegian avant-garde literary review bought one of the pictures for an ironic account of the Andrea Doria sea collision. The Stockholm rammed her amidship. The Andrea Doria listed 45 degrees because she was top-heavy due to the fact that the hold had been emptied of its cargo of Shalimar perfume. The first-class passengers had been permitted to swim in it. But it was discovered that a senile, silent movie, aquatic movie queen had not been coming out of the Shalimar when she had to pee. The liner was therefore made top-heavy. She was due to come into New York the next afternoon. She was skimming through the night at a snappy clip. The last drop of Shalimar trembled on the lip of her bilge pump and shook off into the foaming Atlantic. Then there was a hideous crunching and splintering and snarling sound, and a shudder racked the unlucky boat. The pointed prow of the Stockholm had dildoed a gaping hole in her side. A startling and different freak effect had occurred. A fat middle-aged lady had been sleeping in au naturel in the top of a double-decker bunk, and the unusually spoon-shaped top of the prow of the Stockholm had acted as a pancake flipper and had scooped her up and flipped her onto the mangled mess that had been its own prow. The mysterious woman the woman who had been flipped up, the mysterious woman sat facing in towards the ship, perched near the edge among the tangled intaglio of prow wreckage. Her red hair fell down over her shoulders. Her large and pasty beer belly bobbled fatly. In the gray, disastrous light, she seemed luminous and vaguely nacreous. And one of the crew risked his own safety to crawl out to haul her to safety. Not till he almost reached her did he realize that she was dead, and she was totally bare-ass. But the crewman noticed that she wore a ring with a large blue stone upon one hand. He reached out for her hand to haul her in, but her entire arm came off when he jerked on it. He released the arm, and it dropped into the water, and he fought down the horrors and reached out for her hair to drag her in by that means. Agony and nausea fought for supremacy in his brain, which was about to burst into flames. And the woman's hennaed tresses came out in his grasp. There was no way he could pull her off now, so he crawled back, racked with the agonizing revulsions and stunned by this encounter and with the overt hideousness of life on Earth, in all of its rampaging hideousness. Wait, I think I repeated that word. In all of its rampaging, overtly obnoxious attributes. Later, that chunk of the prow that she was on fell off, and it took the mysterious woman with it. She was instantly devoured by a great many sharks which had been waiting below. The water was lashed into a froth of frenzied foam. Shortly thereafter, the monstrous baby investigations threw up startling revelations. Many housewives were raging dope fiends. They were continually up on reducing drugs, which were shockingly high in amphetamines and spirit lifters. They would get together in the daytime and get high as kites and cackle over coffee. Many college girls either imagined that they did or actually got high on Dristans. The debased pseudo-artistic scum that infest decomposing New York tenements make tea of asthma cigarettes and experimented with mold florets found on putrescent pussy sweetener. Debbie Reynolds claimed that the mystery woman was her scrub woman who had been junketing in Europe. A special line of cosmetics then appeared on the market for the monstrous babies. They sat up in their 18th century swan beds and applied enormous globs of the new foaming and hissing chunky style Phantom of the Opera pockmark filling smegma and extracted from oversized suitcase handles and Posner's non-clotting scented spray mist pubic hair straightening glop picked out of the tiny scum traps and diamond tiaras and mocha eyeshadow scraped out of the tiny sperm-hungry cracks and sliding boards down which plummet hot and screaming little girls.